Welcome home. We are WNST AM 1570. Towson, Baltimore. We're Baltimore positive. We are taking the Maryland Crab Cake Tour out on the road. We're going to be at Greenmount Station in Hampstead next Thursday. All of it brought to you by our friends at the Maryland Lottery. I'll be giving away the Ravens scratch off. It's been a lucky batch. Still have found no winners from Adamamas on the half shell, and Owings Mills have to go back there and give some more away, find some winners. Also, our friends at the Liberty Pure Solutions putting us out on the road for our 26th anniversary, not annual, oyster tour. Try saying that a bunch of times during Pittsburgh week here. We need to get together, play some football, and talk some football. But before we do that, we're going to talk some lottery because John Martin is here. He will not be here next week, and it is Pittsburgh week. And we have this whole Bermuda Triangle thing. You, me, Seth Elkin. I got to get Doug on. I know Doug's a big Ravens guy, so bring him in here. But anytime there's Cleveland or Pittsburgh involved, you seem to be on vacation, and things seem to happen. And next week, it could be a very tough week around here in a first place Pittsburgh-Baltimore battle, John Martin. I want you to know that.
It is amazing, isn't it, that I somehow seem to sneak in and out when opportunity presents itself. Yeah, my tag team partner Seth Elkin is just chomping at the bit to to sit in this seat next week. So maybe he knows something that I don't know.
The headline right now at BaltimorePositive.com says dangerous trip to Pittsburgh. So I'm at least on the front end of I thought the Browns were dangerous a couple of weeks ago. For you guys with the lottery stuff, let's bring this thing full circle here because we've talked sports wagering. Last week we talked casinos, we talked numbers, and the aforementioned Seth Elkin has sent me sports wagering contributes $7 million to the state during October, and we could talk about October, but so much about football. We talked last week about a little bit about the Commanders and what they've done at their stadium and all that. It's just when rivalries happen and football season happens, it really stops everything. And I feel it this week in a way with Baltimore and Pittsburgh that I don't feel it in any other way. And I view sports a little differently since the wagering thing has happened. And we're always telling people, slow the roll, go easy on this. But it's also something clearly that when numbers come out and I get press releases and you and I have to talk seriously about it in that way, it's something we didn't have 3, 5, 10 any years ago that we now have that says there's just such an incredible appetite for sports in this country and football specifically, and what it does sort of along the economic chain of packing bars downtown, packing bars when they're in Pittsburgh this weekend, people watching the games. People love football in this country.
People love sports and people love numbers. And every month we forward face public entity that we are, we report on our numbers. And I'm glad you started there because yes, October was a very good month. Matter of fact, it was the largest handle. And handle again means how much money is wagered. The largest handle at over $593 million just in the month of October. That's across all sports markets. Obviously, October is unique in that you've got that confluence of the World Series, NBA, basketball, NFL football, hockey season. So you have the four major professional sports all in play in the month of October. And not only do you have a large handle in the month, but depending on how those games go, you can get a pretty good month in terms of our contribution to the state. The third best month ever, a little over $7 million to the state. And of course, you sit there and you think, well, gee, why if the handle is number one, why isn't the transfer to the state the largest? Well, it's quite simply because they play the games. And October was a very, very favorable month for players, particularly those players who tend to bet the favorites, or they tend to bet the over. And that's a little bit of behavioral science. I think most people like to bet the favorite. Most people like to bet over than under. And October was very kind in both those categories. So the amount of money that the casinos and the sports books keep after the wagers are paid was back in the single digits. And historically, it's been a double-digit number, anywhere between 10, 12, 13% hold. In the month of October, the hold across all sports books was 8.4%. And some of the retail books
The
We're actually
players are
negative.
doing well. That's what that means, correct? I'm trying to.
Players are doing well, and
Players are winning more than the house wants them to win. Like, right?
well, yeah, but the house
Well, the
also
over thing
knows.
might be the Ravens defense just a lot.
Ah,
I kid this week, but um, they're really good, but they give up a lot of points, and the over is a play. And I sit here much more so. And John, there are times like even in this conversation where I itch a little bit because I was never allowed to talk about this, and to say, like literally they didn't want you talking about this. The
oh
leagues
sure,
didn't. None of this existed because none of this was legal and any of that. And dare I say, and I want to interject this because you mentioned October, and we'll get on the football and all the other stuff that we do around here. And especially, I give these tickets out, and we have a big New York promotion. We talked about that last week, and I was in New York. But baseball, I've been talking baseball longer than I've talked football, right? People think of me as a Ravens guy or whatever, even though I'm Aparicio. But I go back 33 years here, 92, 93, 94, 95. We didn't have any football here to talk about. We did Friday football frenzies. We picked games. We picked sometimes just winners, sometimes against spreads. Spreads weren't what they were today, and Jimmy the Greek, and nobody can talk about it and all of that. But baseball was something when you and I started discussing this and it started rolling out in the last 3 or 4 years to become casino, mobile, all of that, that baseball could move wagering in any way. And having sat here and watched a few seasons of Big Poppy with the hose and the advertising and where it all is, I really do wonder if the Orioles had gone on a run last month locally in Maryland. I can't help but think the number would even be larger. Would you? I mean, just to equate what success would mean, even with baseball, because I think people would get frenzied that play if the Orioles played 12 more games and had won a series or two and played in the World Series, it would greatly affect the numbers, would it not?
oh, there's no doubt, and yeah, I mean, some of that probably was in play with the anti Yankee sentiment. But you're
Oh,
right.
it's
Had
fun to bet against the Yankees. Yeah, I
Yeah,
like
right,
that.
right. But you're right. Had they stuck in it for a round or two, and you know, dare I say, even made it into the World Series, sure, you would have seen that growth.
I'm just
There's
not
there.
sure that's something I had my arms around 3 years ago,
Oh
right?
no,
Like, and I
that's
don't know
right.
that it's not even something that this is probably the first time I've said it out loud to you, and you and I talk every week, and it's part of the fun of our relationship and the front facing part of this is that I learn and then our audience learns because none of this, all of this wasn't on the up and up before. Now that it's on the up and up, we can talk about where the money goes, and I get emails on that, you get emails on that, you know, and we discuss that all the time 4 or 5 times a year. We discuss 1-800-GAMBLER and people if you have a problem. But this is real. It's here to stay. And the sports part of it that has really moved this forward and the mobile part and the numbers honestly had 2 years ago, even at Mako, when this was all starting, did you know you were going to have October numbers like this? I mean, where were the projections in your industry and what you had seen in Jersey and other places versus what the reality is? Because I do feel like you're not a boastful or person. You just come with the numbers. But I do feel like there's a little part of this where even you're a little shocked by like, this is a big number this month. And it feels like you're not bragging about it. You're just feeling like, hey, this is a big number. Maybe I didn't even know that would be this kind of number.
You are correct, Esther. I am, if nothing else, a humble man.
You try,
So
except when it comes to the Browns and the
well,
Cavaliers and the
that's a whole
Guardians.
nother discussion. But you're right. I mean, as we look at it, sure, you have projections because first and foremost, transparency. We are a state agency, and the expectations are we will be generating revenue for in the case of sports wagering the blueprint for Maryland's future fund. So some very important education programs that are expecting the maximum return on that. And we try to do things within the guardrails of responsible gaming and making sure people have a plan, they stay with it, and they bet with their head, not with their heart, and they've got a budget and a timeline, and they manage to that. But yet, at the end of the day, when we're counting up all the nickels and dimes, we're obligated to deliver that to the state. And no, we to the person, I suppose, if you were to get us one on one, yeah, we're exceeding our expectations, and hopefully we're exceeding it again responsibly. We're managing growth where where we can and making sure people are educated and informed. And that's why we have these conversations and point out things as guidelines that they can get, resources. 1-800-GAMBLER is prominent in all that we do: lottery, casino wagering, and sports wagering. And we hope that people, if they feel the need or if they know someone who is in trouble, make a phone call, because there's that secondary level of family, friends, coworkers that can be impacted by that as well.
And there's all sorts of things up at Baltimore Positive in the repository underneath John Martin's face and the Maryland Lottery logo. Everything's there. Last thing on this, and a little bit of revisionist on what we talked about last week with the Commanders and them having a facility inside their facility. You can listen to last week for that. But for football and for mobile and college football and weekends and everything, the numbers on the mobile side versus the front of house casino I'm going to go to, Hollywood, MGM, any of the places we go, Horseshoe, and bet in house, that number's never going anywhere, right? Like, it's wildly mobile, and that's been a shocking thing industry wise. Even I would think to some of the casinos that would think like bricks and mortar used to be the way this was. We're just in a different world. In the same way that I'm doing Music Week next week. So this is my plug for my Music Week. In the same way that, CDs, Napster, downloading music, the online part of wagering and the responsible part of things, the app that will turn you off if you're being foolish and warn you, and just different things that come with mobile, it's just been a bigger part of how this handle gets bigger, right? That mobile has been the way people are doing this, quite frankly.
Last month, and it's been this way for probably the second month we started, 97% of the wagers and action comes through mobile access. 3%,
97. 97.
3% are people actually in the retail sports books.
Am I
Uh,
crazy to think the number was 85-15 and some thoughts 5, 6, 7? Like when I first started hearing it, I also heard 90-10 at various points, but thinking that the threshold would never be 97. I mean, that's just I don't say but it's just factual. And I think it makes all the sense in the world the way I have seen people when they're wagering or even discussing it, it's on the phone. It really is.
it has been that way. It's certainly not going to go back. You can't put the genie back in the bottle at this point. So it's going to force people to, uh, um, particularly on the sportsbook side, to make sure they've got their resources aligned properly and profitably. No one's suggesting that people in the sports books industry to fail. We want them all to succeed. They're all our partners, and right now we have about 24 combined, retail and mobile. So we want all of them to be successful. And the reality is, over time, and we've already seen it in our market, people make some tough business decisions. And these are people that are multinational companies. They're not just mom and pops. These are people that are leaving the North American market. They may have been European or Australian based, and saying, you know what, we just can't make a go. That once you get past the top three or four, and we all know who they are by name, it's really tough to get market share, and that's going to be an interesting dynamic going forward.
John Martin is here. He is the executive director of all things Maryland Lottery and Gaming. We've done a lot of gaming. We do some lottery. Speaking of places, Greenmount Station, we're going to be up in Hampstead next week. I think my friend Karen Faulkner is going to come out. We're going to talk about leadership, amongst other things. Also going to talk a little horse racing. Our friends at the Maryland Lottery will have some Raven scratch-offs to give away, as well as our friends at Jiffy Lube Multi-Care, who put Luke back and forth to Pittsburgh this week. Full coverage of the Ravens and the Steelers, and full post-game with Seth Elkin next week from the Maryland Lottery, who is our resident Penguins and Pirates fan, amongst other things. On the Ravens side and the scratch off side, we get closer to this New York trip. We get closer to all of this. I give these things away. You have a whole litany of real, not just holiday scratch offs, but thanks winning. I just like saying that. Like I like to say Halloween and all of your little fun holiday things, but a whole bunch of things you got going on above and beyond sports wagering, football, and the fun stuff that we do on the weekends around here, on the scratch off space and the holiday space that are traditional lottery things. And they don't smell this year. We have non-scented tickets this year.
Yes, that's correct. And people can go to mdlottery.com to check a variety of promotions. Yeah, it's fun because of the holidays that we know happen every year, so we can plan for that. But it's also fun when we can establish some new things with some new partners. And I'm real pleased to introduce it. We have a promotion with our friends at Giant. Their grocery stores. That is a Mega Millions promotion for second chance. So if you purchase $10 worth of Mega Millions on one ticket, that is your entry into a second chance drawing, and all the details are at mdlottery.com. The promotion will run for the next several weeks. It's a entry per $10. So if you bought a $10 Mega Millions ticket, that's one entry. You buy a 20 million or $20 Mega Millions tickets, that's two entries, and so on. And eventually, over the course of the next several weeks, starting next week, we'll have 8 winners of cash prizes in a Giant gift card. So 8 winners of a $250 Giant gift card will be next week, and then for the next several weeks after that. And then at the midpoint, around December 15th, we'll have $4,000 Giant gift card winners. And then at the end of the promotion in January, two 1,500 Giant gift card winners. So with holiday plans, everyone wanting to go out and get their pantry stocked for the upcoming holidays, what better way than to be a winner of a Giant gift card to help in that?
It sounds like it's a feast of prizes, John Martin.
I like what you did there.
Yeah, well, I'm reading right off of MD Lottery. It's a feast of prizes. Play any draw game for your chance to win. Thanks winning. We have thanks winning, and then we have fun, fast, and festive. Enter holiday fast play tickets for second chance to win cash. And this is what I like. It says on here, it's a winning wonderland. The reindeer riches and the merry money match. You know, the
Those are our
holidays allow creative people to be more creative with
well,
the ho ho holiday fun, you know?
I think it's a little, I think someone's spiking the eggnog too, but that's a whole other conversation for another day. But you're right. If you can go to mdlottery.com and look under our fast play lineup, you will see we have 3 fast play tickets: the $1 reindeer riches, the $5 merry money match, and the $10 winning wonderland. Yes, alliteration is live and well and thriving at the Maryland Lottery.
Well, we will be doing the Maryland Crab Cake Tour, and I will have these Raven scratch offs to give away at Coco's on December 4th, and it'll be a ho ho holiday time. I've started a tradition with Marcella there because she has the eggnog you were speaking of prior to, and it's delicious. And I bet she's already mixing the batch up right now with those crab cakes over there. And so I kick off the holiday edition of the Maryland Crab Cake Tour with spiked eggnog, and she usually gets a little tipsy, and we play some holiday music and sing some songs. It all started with Edwin Mulatalo at the barn back in the 90s and the ukulele, but we love the holidays here. You love the holidays here. Let's get back to Raven Scratch Offs, because I give these away, and people not only come up and say, do you have the app to scan it? Did I win? And I either see the balloons go off and congrats, you're a winner, or I get to play that song for them. I give these out, and there's still like big prizes left for this, right?
Oh, absolutely. Again, you can go to mdlottery.com and check out the winning prizes, or the prizes still available for either the $10 Raven Scratch Off or the $2 Raven Scratch Off. Plenty of cash prizes in both of those. But again, the reminder is, if you have a non-winning scratch off ticket, you may enter them into My Lottery Rewards, our loyalty program, and be eligible for some amazing second chance prizes. During the season, we're always looking at in-game promotions, as well as some special events coming up. You talked about our trip to New York coming up the middle of December, where we have 3 lucky winners already set. I think they're in uniform. I think they're taped up. They're ready to go, and they
I've
will be
said
on
it
the train.
before. Expect to eat. That's all I'm going to say. You're going to be very well fed on this trip. And, if you need some recommendations, I was in New York last week. If they don't feed you enough, I mean, I don't even want to give people on this trip recommendations, because they're already going to have enough to eat. They don't need to know about my favorite pizza place on 28th and Broadway. They don't need to know that next time they go. Because you
All
go to
right.
New
Well,
York, you fall in love with New York. Trust me. Everything
some
but the
people,
Yankees.
some people do. Some people maybe not so much. We have to be open-minded here, Nestor. Not
You
everyone
an
is.
introvert? Does New York eat
Yeah,
you up? Is that, come
yeah.
on,
I
too big a
I
town
don't.
for you?
I'm from the countryside of Cleveland, Ohio.
You just haven't
Uh,
seen my New York, is what that's what you
that's
need to do.
possible.
You
That
know,
is quite possible. That is
you
quite
think you
possible.
think I wouldn't be fun to hang out with in New York? I mean, we're talking museums, we're talking pigeons, we're talking pastries, everything I love.
I didn't think about it. We may have another opportunity here. Maybe what we ought to do is offer a second chance prize where you host a New York trip.
You know what? I'm going to put that in the 2025 package
Put
that we're
that,
going to
I
do a
think we just
special.
created something.
We're going to do a promotion, go to New York, summer in New York when that we'll walk through Central Park. And you go to Central Park in the middle, in the back, you don't even know you're in New York. You don't can't even see the buildings.
I
I've
think
done this. There's
I
ducks and birds and things.
and bears too, but we're not going to talk about that. There are yeah, maybe we've just created something here.
There's Giants and Jets and Rangers. Oh my.
Oh my, yeah,
John
right.
Martin is here. He's the executive director of all things Maryland Lottery and Gaming, and we have gone off the rails in this sports wagering scratch off environment with all this holiday winning. Mega Millions. Last thing for you. That thing's about to change, right? And we'll do a longer thing on it, but there's always creativity when there's numbers, math, government reporting. It's all on the up and up. But you're trying. They're not you. They are trying to change the game a little bit next year, right?
For the better. Right now, the reminder is, as we speak, the Mega Millions jackpot, the game that people know, is well into triple digits, knocking on the door of almost $400 million for Mega Millions. So watch mdlottery.com or your local retailer and see how that jackpot can grow. But along the first week of April, we will bring this current game to a close and transition to a newly engineered bigger, better, faster game where jackpots will start at $50 million. Right now, they start at 20. They will increment at a higher rate, and hopefully the chance to get more millionaires and billionaires
Because 20
involved in
million
the
wouldn't be
game.
enough for me, right? You know
You
what I
know,
mean? Like I
yeah,
couldn't.
yeah,
Well, my
yeah.
wife
That's
hits 387 million that I'm seeing here or more because it'll be more by the time she hits it. Tell Seth I don't care if the Ravens win or lose. I won't be here next Wednesday if she hits it. So.
wow. You know what? That's an interesting thought. Maybe Seth will have to do both sides of this. So Luke will probably be available.
Well, Luke will be available if the Ravens win. If the Steelers win, I
Oh,
don't, we all
yeah.
might. It might be a really long week next week if that happens, Render. It is fun though. It's fun talking football with you, football season. I think the Commanders thing has made it more fun. We talked about that last week. We talked about the big numbers. Please do this stuff responsibly. We kid, we have fun. It is fun to play. It's fun to win. I watch people win all the time. I don't watch them lose, and sometimes the losses amount and there are problems. And if there are, 1-800-GAMBLER is the way to make that happen. There's all sorts of ways to address that, even though we're addressing what the windfall has been for the Blueprint for Maryland and the education fund. And I spend a lot of time with politicians discussing where that money goes. And a lot of folks at a Baltimore Positive, we talk about education around here as well in the back end of an election. John, did I get everything in? Did I leave anything? Are you guys doing events or anything? We spinning wheels. It's a kind of a weird week with Thanksgiving and stuff because there aren't as many events, and the events tend to be. And you're from Cleveland. What high school you went to? When's the Calvert Hall thing or the Curly thing or when's the reunion? That's a little bit more of what's going on here the next couple of weeks as we trim up the tree, as they say.
People can check our event calendar at mdlottery.com. Coming up here yet in the month of November, we turn our focus on college football. And we have the Terps and Rutgers on November 16th at College Park. And then November 23rd, the Morgan State Bears hosting the Howard Bison. I'd be kidding if I knew what the line was on that game, but that's not the point. The point is we'll be there. You can come out and spin the wheel and have some fun. And it's also great for us to get out not only at College Park, but we also throughout both basketball and football seasons try to support a number of the other colleges and universities.
As we record this here midweek, it was really cold. And I'm thinking like going out to Morgan State for football, if it's going to be cold, that you're right near Coco's where we're doing the show, the Crab Cake Tour on the 4th of December. And I'm wondering, like, I was going to be funny because you were being alliterative earlier and I'm trying to be clever today, even though I don't have much. I mean, I got no guy, it's late in the game and I'm losing my fastball. But I wonder, could you get hot cocoa at Coco's? I don't. I don't even know if
Ooh.
she has Coco's Pub. So I'm
Yeah,
going to
you
have
know
to
what?
ask
That's on
her.
you.
I know
That's
she
yeah.
has spiked eggnog on December 4th. I know that. John Martin is here. He has all things responsibility on Maryland Lottery. He's executive director of all things Maryland Lottery and Gaming and has reported in on sports wagering numbers, casino numbers. All that stuff's available at mdlottery.com, including winners, and more winners and fun stuff. Next week, Seth Elkin's going to be here. Well, I hope you have a good Thanksgiving if I don't talk to you between now and then. I hope we do get together for some mincemeat pie and some pumpkin pie 2 weeks from now. But big game, Ravens Pittsburgh, middle of the season like this. It's fun. It's football. Please play responsibly if you are wagering out there. And my thanks to John Martin. All of his work also up at the front of Baltimore Positive. I am Nestor. The Maryland Crab Cake Tour back out on the road with Raven Scratch-Offs. Next Thursday, we'll be at Greenmount Station in Hampstead talking all things turkey and gravy and crab cakes. I'm Nestor. We are WNST AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore. We never stop talking Baltimore Positive.